All right, so here we go. Jason Shurka, everyone, back again. Disclosure 5. So we have another person with the the light groups, and it's going to be very, very interesting. I watched it earlier today. You sent it to me, and I watched that. She's very, very interesting. Let's jump in. Let's talk about it.
Awesome. By the way, I do want to just announce something really exciting. The TLS organization is actually on the front cover today of a pretty big magazine on their issue in the United Kingdom called the Phenomena magazine. They have, I think, over like 2 million readers. So they just wrote an entire article about the organization. Obviously, they asked me questions and all that. So it was all done with permission, whatnot. But it's just really exciting because there are a lot of steps being made in terms of this coming out more and more, and more all the time.
Fabulous.
It's
yeah, and you've been
cool.
on the forefront of that. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. You know, you've been helping me in many ways.
It's been a pleasure because I mean the information is always been stunning, and the new information is very cool because Ray is phenomenal. The information that he was exposing and bringing forward and everything, all the things that he shared was just amazing. But the new revealer is, this is where I thought it was going to go, and this is where it went. The information is perfect, I think. So she's quite phenomenal. And yes, I said she.
It's a woman. It's a woman. I really see her. I don't like using the word I'm about to say so much because I don't want to externalize anything, but I really see her as like a hero in what she does. Because I mean, listen, she's a mother, she lives a normal life.
Mm-hmm.
She does everything day to day, just like everybody else. Only when she goes to her 9-to-5 job, she's doing something else, and her kids have no clue what she does. And of course, there's a cover and she explains all that and how that's done. But I think it's really important to get a perspective from a woman as opposed to a man, because it brings in a different energy. It's a different energy. It's a different vibe completely. And a lot of people ask, can we see somebody else from the organization? I persisted. You were actually in the room that same day when I made the call a few hours before to see if I can get that done. That was a few months ago when we were doing the part 3 screening, and I let you all know, yourself included, in the room.
That's right.
I made a call this morning. I'm trying to get her on. It seems like it's going to work, but there's no promises yet. So that was like sometime in April. So in a few months, we got it done. And I mean, I'm grateful to bring part 5 of this series. It's open to the entire world, and it's all about disclosure. But when a lot of people think disclosure, they're like, "Ooh, aliens," and that's not all what it is. It's
right.
Disclosing what's really going on behind the scenes, who's doing what behind the scenes, and almost going into this own form of disclosure of ourselves. I would even call it revelations, because we're starting to like uncover and reveal the parts of us that we forgot. And the point of this series, by the way, seen by millions and millions of people all around the world since it started at the beginning of this year. The point of this series is to return us back to our power. It's not to say, go give your power out to any organization or any human being. It's the exact opposite. It's saying there are people doing what they're doing behind the scenes, not for us, but because of us.
Yeah. And
TLS is not the only one. It's not the only one out there. There are a lot of great organizations. I just work with them, so that's why I speak on their behalf. But it's just so cool that it's really cool, that like, look where we are. We're in 2022 speaking about things that 3 years ago people would have put us in a like a psych ward for, saying there's something wrong with you. And here we are having millions of people in over 100 countries around the world, more than half of this planet, coming together and listening to things that they would have never been open to hearing just a few years ago. So I have a lot of faith in terms of where we're going and where the world is headed ultimately, minus all the little details and tragedies along the way.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I love this next one because it's on the spiritual realm that I dwell in. Now she's very advanced. Extremely advanced. In fact, I was just saying to my audiences not long ago that I felt very, very, very positively that when we start to make this this next ascension level, because we're going to go through a little dark period, and then we're going to go through some light, and then we're going to really take off. We're going into a definite golden age. So when that happens, there's going to be new abilities that are really going to start come through for people. And she goes into some of those abilities that she's capable of, like levitation. And I'd said, someday I see myself levitating. I know there's a skill. I know you can learn it. I know that when you open yourself up for it, when you don't restrict yourself, because a lot of people, through religious process and so forth, restrict themselves. They get stuck in that. And she talks about that as well. Ray talked about that. We have talked about that on all of our shows. So I really think that's part of the consciousness. I'm not saying that, religions are going away completely, but that the restrictions that a lot of religion put on people,
the way we see religion is going to be reshaped completely.
Yeah.
Today religion is very constrictive and restrictive because it's not what it was intended to be. I'm not against the Bible in any way whatsoever. I am very openly against certain religious leaders that take advantage of people. That even if they don't have bad intentions, they're acting out of their own limitations. And because there are a lot of people that look up to those people, we end up limiting ourselves. And that's the world that we have to stop being in and move out of. And that's why the externalization of power has to end. It's not about, oh, this religious leader said this, or this spiritual leader said this. That's not relevant. It's just a piece of the puzzle. What do you feel? What do you think? What are you going to do about it? How does that feel internally? That's the best guide and navigator we can have. But one of the things that you just spoke about, which I love, is how when she spoke about the spiritual aspects of what she can do and what she's sort of unlocked the capability of doing within her, that we all have, by the way. She did say that when she first started, she had a lot of blockages within her. And in the beginning, her work was a lot more on the physical level because she wasn't at a place to do the spiritual work. And over a period of time, with work that she did and work that TLS helped her go through and work that Ray helped her go through and all these things, she was able to unlock more and more. And today she's able to do a lot of the more spiritual tasks. But she says very openly, you cannot do spiritual work if you're in a low and complicated place in your life. Those are the words that she uses. And I think that's very, very important because if we want to get to this world, it all has to do with our vibe. It all has to do with our frequency. It all has to do with that vibration of being that we're in. If we're in a vibration of fear, if we're in a vibration of lack, if we're in a vibration of envy or jealousy, in a negative way, at least, whatever that may be, it holds us back from getting to the places we want to get to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. So yeah, so you have a few clips you're going to share, and like normal, you're like, this is the first place you share on my show. I love it. So
it always ends up that way. It always ends up that way. By the way, check this out. This is the front cover of the magazine that just came out.
Wow.
It says there are many stories of mysterious groups with hidden agendas concerning the human race. Some are good and some less so. Here, Jason Shurka reveals the background to one such group, and then it's all about TLS and that whole organization with what it is that they're revealing in that.
8,000 initiated agents. Wow.
Now I think right now they're up to about 8,400, but it's not so much about the size. I mean, we've been around the 7,000 number for years. It's not like they're looking to constantly grow. It's not about the amount of people that they have. It's do they have the right people for the right jobs? Yeah. And I think the reason why because they expanded big time recently to a lot, because from 7,000 over the past 2 years, about 2,000 of those people were killed in operations. They died in dangerous operations that they were doing. That left them with closer to 5, and they went on a big spree and did what they have to do for what's going on right now. And there's a lot going on right now behind the scenes, but it's a lot more quiet than it was in 2020 and 2021 of that public form of disclosure, if you want to call it in that way. But check this out.
TLS sent us to Canada to, you won't believe it, to stop the electricity for a few seconds.
What part of Canada are we talking about?
It was Niagara Falls.
And when you say to stop the electricity, you're using this example as a spiritual task. How did you go about doing something like that?
We've been sent to a country in the Middle East. We had to stop a storm. We were actually in a helicopter when we did what we did. We actually used a physical tool, but in a spiritual way.
Can you give any other examples of spiritual tasks and operations that you've been a part of?
We went to Utah and we actually had a mission, but something happened on the way. It was something that wasn't the reason that we were there. And there was actually a boy that almost fell from a cliff.
You're talking about horseshoe bends.
We didn't plan it, but there was a reason that we were there. We understood this wasn't a coincidence.
In short, you have access to tools that you use that help you like connect spiritually. So they call her the Black Widow. That's her code name.
And you don't choose your code name. That's
No.
the way it was when I was in the CIA. They like said, "You're going to be Kojak," and I was like, "Oh, that's a good name." Some people don't get really good names, so that was a good one.
Yeah. So I mean, everybody has a code name within the organization.
Right?
It's not like they use it on the street, like, "Hey,
Yeah.
Black Widow." Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah,
work like
no.
that. Or so like, I'll give you an example. The other day I was writing a letter to somebody within the organization. I was speaking about a few people, other people within the organization. In situations like that, you would write their names as their code names.
Right.
Like Ray is a code name. Ray isn't even his real name,
Mhm.
but I wouldn't even write Ray. I would write the code name. It's generally like an abbreviation of letters of that name. So the Black Widow would be BW.
Right.
Blind Baby is somebody else, that would be BB. Things like that. That's how they work.
Yeah, and that's to give you a level of quietness, so people don't they don't know who you're talking about. So you kind of it's that way in a lot of these organizations. It was in the organizations I was in when I was in the SEAL Team 6 and CIA and stuff like that. There's all these little code names that are out there. If anyone's listening in, they don't know what the heck you're talking about or who you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense to do that. So it's interesting because she talks about that one experience, and she goes in a little bit more detail about it. So and the revelations were pretty profound for her at that time. I found that as well. When I've worked in the spiritual realm and have done things, use my spiritual gifts to, quiet terrorist activity in certain areas, push storms, just like recently. So there's all kinds of different things that can happen, with your spiritual gifts. And she talks about that. So it's like, all right, one of my peeps is out there, doing really good work. So it's phenomenal to see the level progression that's happening with the TLS and what they're revealing. Very, very nice.
There's something I got to show you. I've never spoken about this, I don't think, publicly, but it really fits for this conversation right now when it comes to how can somebody go about stopping a storm? How do you stop some sort of natural disaster, whether it's natural or not, because in many cases it's not.
Right.
And that's a whole other conversation. But
absolutely,
many people have different ways of how to do that. There are many different techniques. There are many different methods of how to go about something like that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ways that I can share without sharing details, because I don't know how to do it myself, but I know what's used, so I want to share that over here, is, let me backtrack. There's a book believed to be written by Abraham. The book in Hebrew is called Sefer HaYetzirah. In English, it's called the Book of Creation. Greg Braden actually speaks about the Book of Creation, Sefer HaYetzirah. He speaks about in terms of God codes and our DNA and how it's all connected. Again,
that's right.
It needs to be a book written by Abraham. I don't know what's true and what isn't when it comes to that. The point is it's a very, very old book full of wisdom and codes. And there are that specific book, if I'm not mistaken, is either written in, I believe it's written in Aramaic, but Aramaic uses Hebrew letters. So think of Aramaic coming before the Hebrew language. And that language has nothing to do with religion. It's a language that has to do with the laws of creation and creation as we know it. So a certain chain of letters, in many cases we call that a word, but a certain chain of letters is actually a code that can create something, that can change the code of the matrix that we live in to induce a storm or to stop a storm. That's why this information is something that is not being disclosed publicly, because if it goes into the wrong hands, you can do a lot of damage.
Right.
So in that way, secrecy is actually a very good thing in some situations. We always think of secrecy as you got to be evil, because why not give it to all of humanity? Well, you don't put something out there that we can't collectively be responsible with, because that would be evil. That would be very evil, actually.
Mhm.
So there are certain uses of things like the Book of Creation. It looks like this, by the way. And you can Google this, it's not like a secret. Where if you, I have this one, which is an English to the best of their ability translation, even though it's not even comparable to the actual text. But you'll see a lot of diagrams and shapes and numbers on hands. And I don't know what all those things mean, but I can tell you that when you look at things like this, you're looking at creation in and of itself. It just so happens to be that there are certain individuals in power that unfortunately do not have the greatest intention and know how to use some of this for negative purposes. So that's what they do. But when it comes to how TLS does certain things, number one, they have a lot more knowledge than the darker organizations and what they're doing.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we'd be in a much, much bigger mess. But in general, they stop things like that through codes within books like that, just so we're all under the same understanding here, to make it more relatable. So people just like, oh, she could stop something. No, it's there's an actual way to do it. And that's one of the ways, without giving details again, because I was never taught that. I don't know. I just know some of the things that are used without the specifics.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So yeah, I've noticed that myself. I try and keep, things on the down low, as far as, like,
100%.
some of my abilities and some of the things that I've seen and what I know that's coming. Because it does, to a certain extent, it has, humanity has to experience that to move forward. But there can be a group like TLS and others of us that are involved in helping people wake up in the level, at the level that they can handle. So
100%.
the speed is the key for a lot of people. Some people can wake up like overnight. Something, they might see this and go, oh, and it could be one little trigger that hits somebody, and then they're like doing the research and they're finding all this stuff out, and they're just boop, 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 and they just accelerate past us,
Yeah.
and a lot of it's I love to see that, so it does happen. And a lot of that, I think, is because of repression. And then once that repression comes off, like we were talking about earlier, then really the true gifts that we have within us can come forth and really accelerate and expand us and make our lives much better, our relationships and so forth. And she talked about that as well. I thought it was beautiful. And when you're doing this kind of work, when you're doing this kind of spiritual work, she talked about how you start to realize, wow, we were in this place at just the right time doing our work, and we're able to save this one young man. And that's part of what happens in the
He was
spiritual
like
realm.
you're talking about like a 10-year-old. He was a little kid.
Oh, this little kid, 10-year-old. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, that's incredible. So I've noticed that myself. Is just like, it's miraculous, some of the things that you come across, and then that kind of endorses what you're doing, and it gives you the empowering, it empowers your abilities too. It opens you up to doing more with what you're doing already. Spontaneity comes through, and it's spontaneous, abilities come through and so forth. So it's really fun to open. It's fun to open people up to this stuff. It's not, oh, that's scary. No, it's not scary at all. It's actually quite beautiful. You might be a little like hesitant because it's not, you don't understand it. But when you do the research and when you see other people doing it, like we're talking about, it's not scary anymore. It's something that we can do.
There's one step that I want to bring to everybody's awareness right now, for anybody that is going through that. And I feel the need to share this because maybe it may catalyze somebody else's process. There's being asleep to what's going on. And then there's, whoa, you have this moment, maybe from disclosure 5, maybe from something else you're seeing, whatever it may be, right? Mm-hmm. There's this thing that opens you up and you start going down this rabbit hole of research and whoa, and then there's always this step that I see that everybody ends up in, and you can skip this step if you're aware of it before it comes. And that step is the fact that there's always, before you really get to the point of, I understand the interconnectivity of everything and I can see it and I can feel it, there's always this feeling of being pissed off, because you feel like you've woken up to a truth and you see all these other people that may have, they just may have not been there just yet. And then I always see people say, well, I'm there, so what the hell? Why do I have to experience all this garbage? It's not me doing it, it's them doing it. And the truth is that it's not about you or me. It's not about an individual within humanity and that collective. It's about all of us together, meaning it's like, look at us as a basketball team, okay? If you want to get to the championship game, it's not good enough for you to be a three-point shooter. It's not good enough for you to be anybody on that team as an individual. You could be an amazing player. If your team sucks, you're not getting to the championship. So the point over here is to understand and to really understand within yourself that this isn't about us as individuals, but us as individuals are extremely important because we make up the collective.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can see that collective as we're in this together, then instead of getting pissed off that other people aren't waking up and saying, this is so unfair, I see all of this in front of me and they can't see it. Well, lose the feeling of getting pissed off and go help and go inspire and go speak. That's why I do it, because I was pissed off, because I'm looking around me. I'm like, I don't want to be here. This sucks. I don't want to be friends with most people. I look around me. I'm like, I'm an alien here. Like, what's going on? And I'm sure most of us watching this right now probably feel that way. And I'm not saying don't feel that way, feel whatever way you want to feel, but it's what you do with that feeling that matters most. Are you going to sit there and say, and you could still say this, that everybody's just asleep and dumb and pisses you off? That's fine. You're a human being. Feel however you want. But at the end of the day, your purpose of waking up is not to continue moving forward by yourself. It's to wake up so you're the strength that can bring everybody along the way with you. And when you inspire them, they inspire others. And that's the key of building and realizing this team that we have. And we really are a team. We're a team with the psychopaths. We're a team with the greatest people on earth. We're all a team. We're here to wake each other up. And in many ways, the people that we dislike the most, and I'm not going to name names, but we all know who we're speaking about, those people, they're responsible for the Great Awakening.
Absolutely. Very good.
They're responsible for the reason why we're here right now. So you could hate them all you want. And I'm not saying that their actions are great. I'm not justifying anything. They're horrible. Mm-hmm. But understand that that's the oneness that I'm trying to convey here. We are ourselves waking each other up and waking ourselves up. And if we're asleep and we need to wake up, there's going to be a part of us that's going to do something, almost like in the human body. If there's a problem in the body, what are your nerves going to do? It's going to make you feel pain. Are you going to hate that pain? Or are you going to say, oh, wait a second, my brain's trying to tell me something. There's an infection in my toe. That's all it's trying to do. That's the purpose of the people that we don't like. That's the purpose of the dark side. It's not to fight them. It's to understand what alert are they trying to make us aware of, and understanding that they are us and we are them. They cannot exist without us. And it's not about changing them. It's about changing us. If we change us, they cannot exist. Once we understand that, we lose the need to be pissed off at anybody, really, on the grand picture, on the grand scale, because we see how interconnected we are. And I think the sooner we can realize that, this world will look a whole lot different.
I totally agree. I've been through a lot of those, pain processes, going through, SEAL training, being in combat zones, doing bodybuilding contests and all those kind of things. I think this is probably one of the easier, processes that we could talk about that people can go through. It's basically just learning how to relax your consciousness and push through zones of where we've been in a box for so long, and we're learning to get outside of that box. So you have to relax and start to look outside of it. It's as simple as that, because they've tried to trap us for a long time, thousands of years. We've been in this, you and I have been in this game for a long time. trying to help humanity.
Not
growing.
me so much, but maybe in different lives. Not me so much. I'm just a young guy trying to do my thing here.
Yeah. Well, you look like a young guy, and you are a young guy. You're like what, 25 or whatever, but you're an old soul. So
Thank you. Thank you. I hope that I'm tapping into the right parts of myself to share that. I think
Yeah.
that's why we're really here. At the end of the day, we got to receive, but receive in order to give.
Yeah.
Making money, use that money to do something greater than yourself.
Right.
You want to enjoy it, you want to go on vacations, God bless you, take care of yourself. But use that money to go take care of other people. Use that money to make this world a better place. Allocate energy in the best way that we know how to change the world.
Yeah. And you've done that with Unified TV on an incredible level. You were telling me about this earlier today, and I was stunned. You had certain prices and so forth for Unified TV. I'm part of Unified TV. I came in early on. I love it. It's amazing. I've done shows in there, lots of shows, and I look forward to doing more in the future. But you were able, because people came in and basically donated to this cause, became part of a team, became part of a greater effort. Now you can actually offer this at a much lower price. That's absolutely amazing.
There was a promise that I always made, and I'll backtrack real quick to give a big story because I want people to understand what it is that not I'm doing, but we're doing here, because it's a team. And it's hard for people to get their minds around that because everybody sees things as mine and yours. That's not how we're doing things here. So growing up, I always had this dream. I had dreams of I always wanted to take a homeless person off the street instead of donating to an organization or a fund. I wanted to go myself, take the homeless person off the street, change his or her life where I can see it and get them on their feet. And I think that would impact so many people just by that person. And that costs money. From there, I wanted to create documentaries. From there, I wanted to create platforms to connect people. I was always like this bridge and connector of people. It's just like a part of who I am and my energy within myself. But the older I got and the bigger my dreams got, the more money they costed. And I didn't know what to do, because I said, okay, well, we want to do this, but we need funding. So now how are we going to get it? Do we go to investors? Do we go to a nonprofit and create a nonprofit? I also don't like that so much. And I don't like that because a nonprofit is a few big people that are carrying the weight of everybody else. It's bigger donors, which is great. I'm not putting down nonprofits. I just didn't feel that it was going to be the best for the way that I wanted to create what I wanted to create for all of us. So instead, we created what I call a profit for purpose, meaning, yes, we pool together funds for a greater reason than ourselves, and we use those funds to create something. But I didn't just want to go and say, hey, donate in this. I wanted to create something that would be worthwhile for people. So I started looking around myself, and I saw all these great platforms and services, video streaming platforms specifically. I think one of the best ways to reach people is through video, is through media. That's why this is literally my job every single hour of every single day. And I said, well, let's make something out of it. So Unified TV was born from that vision of saying, let's create a service that people will want to pay for because it's giving them something in return. But instead of using that money to just build a business and go buy a mansion, let's use that money to go and build bigger organizations out there, build social media platforms, build dating apps, build healing networks, all these things that came to fruition over the past year. And that is what Unified TV really is. So it's a video streaming platform that is much bigger than a video streaming platform. That's the front. What it really is a humanitarian fund that we're coming together and collectively all putting the same amount of energy. That's why it's a membership platform. Because if we went the nonprofit route, you have one guy giving $1 billion, you have one guy giving $1 million, you have one guy giving $5. Let's just take as many people as we can giving the same. And for those who can't afford that under $20 a month, that's fine. We'll create more stuff with the funds that we make from the members. And that's how we support each other. So it's like this give and take, this giving and receiving that we're creating that circuit of. So to answer your point, Michael, when it first started, it was $33 a month because that was what I thought we needed at the time. And that's what we needed because it got us very far. We got a lot of members, and I always made a promise. I said, guys, the more people who sign up, the cheaper this is going to get. Because doesn't that make sense? If you need X amount of money to do something, The more people you have, the less you need from each person. So we started at $33, but just a couple weeks ago, we were able to decrease the price by 40% as that promise, doing the exact opposite of what all the big corporations do. Amazon raises their prices. Netflix raises their prices. Hulu raises their prices. All of these people raise their price because they can't, because they got you hooked and there's nothing you can do about it. I want to do the exact opposite, to make it more accessible, to make it more affordable, to educate the masses while still supporting a platform, and to know and have people know that it's us who are funding this. We are funding something greater than ourselves. So many people ask me every day, how can I be a part of this? How can I be a part of this movement? How can I be a part of this initiative to change the world? I really do believe that this is an incredible way to do that, because it's a platform that's bigger than just a platform. It's a movement, it's an initiative, it's something that we can all come together and be a part of with our energy. And it's that collective shift that we have to see in this world and that we want to see in this world to make this world a better place. So that's really what Unified TV is all about and what the purpose is. And the disclosure series, by the way, how do you think it's free? Who's paying for it? We got to ask those questions. The people are, you know, how am I able to get the equipment and get the cameras and hire the editors and make the trailers and build the website and now build apps for your smart TV and your mobile phones and all that? How? It costs hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yep.
Never took a dollar from an investor, never planning on taking a dollar from an investor, and never raised money formally in that public stock market. We went and we said, we need to make a change. Let's do it. And the disclosure series is thanks to all the Unified TV members. That's the reason why we have the platform today. That's the reason why the series is here today, because we came together, we took responsibility, we took accountability, we took action, and we said, let's go. The time is now, let's make that change. It was beautiful, and it's beautiful to see it grow.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's what was amazing, you gave the option for people to, you know, pay the lower price that are already members, and almost everybody in your that's a member now just said we're good with this price right now, because they know that they're helping. And I think that's fantastic. That's the way, you know, people are more service to others now. And in fact, you know, and the Black Widow even talked about that towards the end of her little talk, you know, and that'll come up when people watch that. So I don't want to give too much away, but she revealed so much. I thought that was absolutely beautiful. So it's good to see the feminine energy come into this.
It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
It's so amazing. You're talking about thousands of people. There were 11 people who said, they didn't even say change the price. They said, hey, we're going through a tough time. We would love to take advantage of the lower price. No problem. And by the way, anybody watching this that wants to do that, God bless you. All good. But the fact that you see such a big group of people and they say, no, that's fine. We're doing this because we want to support everybody else that can make it in on that lower price. That's community. Wow, that's great. You don't hear about that. Yeah. Listen, I have a team behind me of people that work on the team that also advise and say, you should do this and you should do that. And almost all of them said, you know, this is a big hit. This is something are you sure you want to do this? And I said, number one, I'm sure I want to do it. And number two, it's not going to be a big hit. You're going to see exactly what's going to happen, because these aren't people that think like you guys think. These are people that understand the bigger picture. These aren't people that are trying to get a deal on something. These are people that are trying to change the world. Yep. It's not the world that we come from anymore. It's a new world that we're building. And they were in shock. They're like, well, 11 people. How? 11 people? Unbelievable. You know, so listen, it's an operation. It's an operation with, you know, at this point, we're a team of 15 people. We have a lot of things coming up. We have the revamped Unified Social coming up, free social media platform, no ads. All of that is done because of this thing that we're building and this movement that we're building. And it's so much bigger than a platform. And I'm super grateful to be the person that is facilitating that. And by the way, let's make this very clear. I don't own it. This isn't a corporation. This isn't an LLC. I'll spare the details on the actual formation of it because there's no need to speak about that here. But I am not the owner. There is no owner of it. It's a whole lot bigger than that. We are all owners of it. Big picture. It's an association that we're building here. So that's the point. If you want to go on the formation side, that's the point. It's building it as something that's bigger than ourselves. I want to know that if tomorrow I'm no longer here, this thing's running. You know, this thing's running with not one person in power, but all of us in power.
Yeah, that's very important. So gonna share the screen real quick. The link that's going to be in the description box, guys, and I put in the chat right now is the Unified TV link. Tell us about this, Jason.
So this right over here, what we did was we made it super simple. Everybody can get a 7-day free trial. Whoever wants to check that out. As it says over there, enter your email to start your 7-day free trial. Put in your email, get started, go through the process, and you will get that 7-day free trial. If you could scroll down, Michael, there's also some new releases that you can see over here as well. We just got some rights and sort of licensing to some amazing movies, starring people like Dr. Northrup, you know, amazing doctors out there that are a part of really amazing films that we literally pretty much purchased the rights for to bring them onto this platform. So Signposts on the Road to Ascension. I'm doing a live Q&A in a few days. We have a Galactic Messages series. Dr. Brzezinski, Suppressing Cure, we put that on here. Higher Consciousness in the Code. This is what just came out over the past 5 to 6 days. You're talking about hundreds and hundreds of videos and tons being added. I mean, every single day or every other day at this point. And Michael, if you could scroll back up to the disclosure tab, we could show them about where they can watch the disclosure series as well. So October 10th at 10:10 a.m., 10:10 at 10:10 a.m. Eastern time, 9 days and that many hours and minutes and seconds away. Disclosure 5 will be shared for the entire world on the world premiere, but there is a button there that says get early access. The reason why we do that is because of all the Unified TV members who made this possible in the first place. If you click get early access, it will bring you down right there. It will just scroll you to the bottom of that page. And again, you can go through the steps over there. You can get your 7-day free trial. You can watch it right away, starting
Nice.
October 1st. So it's available. You could watch it right away. Check it out. Again, this is going to be open to everybody regardless, but I wanted to give early access to all our current members. And if you hear this and you're watching this video and you want to support what it is that you're seeing, there are a lot of things that you get in return. I believe in giving and receiving. Watch Disclosure 5, watch everything else on the platform. There's a 7-day free trial. If you don't like it, leave. If you love it, stay. Most people love it. Most people end up staying, and it's awesome. That's why we're at the point that we're at right now. But this is where you can get early access as of October 1st. So make sure to do that. Get your 7-day free trial, and just know that you're supporting something a whole lot bigger than just a public stock or a corporation or a business. You're supporting the front that looks like a video streaming platform, but the back that's really an initiative to make this world a better place and build things that can connect us all in a whole new light, in a whole different way.
Very nice. And I'm doing a chat with Dr. Michaels on October 10th at 10 a.m. That's a great time.
Yep. That's gonna be a really, really great one. I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely.
Awesome.
So that's going to be free to everyone that wants to get a 7-day free trial. It's absolutely amazing. This will stay in my description box, guys, from here on out. So you guys will be able to access it. It's an exceptional deal. Definitely take advantage of it. The series, if you have not watched it, it's unbelievable. Every single one of them. You should go on a binge and watch all of them if you haven't watched any of them yet. But I'm sure most of the audience here has already watched them, and they're looking forward to this next one. It's really good.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. And I say this all the time, man, you are amazing. We've been doing this since the first one, and there are just really, really big things to come. I'm so excited. And the amount of just growth, you've made and I've made and we've made all together in such a short period of time, we see that there's something a whole lot bigger than us behind this whole thing,
Oh, yeah. People are very, very excited. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So thank you. I appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you, Jason. And thanks everybody that joined us. We'll see you guys next time.